So hopefully as soon as the stream catches up to the chat, you'll have sound. We'll see. As far as I can tell, it's outputting sound. Do 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 do. See, red bars going on forever. Hey, I can hear myself on my phone, calling myself an idiot. Woohoo! All right. So, by the way, all those Navi hey listens in the background on my wife's phone.
I'll turn it down.
So, don't ding me on copyright stuff, Nintendo. I heart you.
Sorry, it's gone.
That's fine. So, as I said to myself, and I'll repeat it now, I'm building an encounter system for my game. I had encounters that you would do with characters like on the actual map, and you would interact with them and stuff. Yeah, it was okay. It worked, but it didn't work well enough for me to say, "Hey, this is great." So I've been calling this, kind of a pseudo RPG all along, anyways. So I decided to go a little bit more RPG like. So no random encounters or whatever. You'll still see the bad guys. Now in the game, your character can't and has never had the ability to attack. You play as a male carrier, makes for a lot more interesting dynamic. So we have a hybrid battle system in building. So the enemies will be on basically an active time battle system, sort of like Final Fantasy VI or something like that, where they're on their own timers and then they'll do stuff to you, building with one at a time first. While iterate to add on multiple bad guys once things start, working correctly and stuff. So the plan by the end of the stream is to have a moderately functional version of this, starting more or less from scratch. I've got some basic state machine stuff in here, just to get things moving. So they'll have their own timers. They'll have different attacks that they'll do towards you. But the interesting part of it is that since you can't attack, you're not in the loop for the time-based stuff. You can do stuff in real time while they're doing the turn-based attacks, but you have to respond accordingly to the right attacks. Like if they do a physical attack, you need to do a physical parry. If they do a ranged attack, you need to deflect it back towards them and stuff like that. So the timing side for you is more like Paper Mario, and the timing side for the enemies is more like traditional Final Fantasy and stuff like that. But you need to pay attention and learn the tells that the enemies have before they have their attacks come out. So you know what type of thing, because obviously you'll be a sitting duck for a little bit if you pick the wrong thing for countering it. So I also plan on having the player be able to move around a little bit. We'll see if that's worth keeping in. If it overcomplicates the actual play or not. So basically, it's a semi-turn-based parry system for how counters are handled. There'll also be a couple special abilities that will add in probably in the next stream or something like that. They're based on abilities that you have in the overworld. But first things first, got to get the bones down for this stuff. All right, so this particular enemy, which I just have as like enemy 01 or something like that. This one is basic kind of zombie ghoul looking type thing. He's got a hood on. I posted it on Twitter a couple times. I'll bring it up a little bit, show some of the basic animations for him, show what he's going to look like. Basically, he'll have an idle ability or state where he'll stand there and do whatever while his timers count down. And then he'll have a tell of different animations before he either does a physical attack or a ranged attack at you, and then you have to counter those. You either use your blink ability to blink out of the way and back to dodge the physical attack, which will have a percentage chance of having them hurt themselves from it by missing you. And then you also have a deflect ability, where you'll be able, like if he shoots a projectile at you, which would be like energy looking stuff, like particles. So he'll send at you and you'll be able to basically grab it and loop it around and send it back at them. You won't be able to originate your own attacks, so you have to counter everything that they do. So outthink them a little bit. So firstly, we have the enemies here. I've got a family of enemies, even though there's only one in there right now, just generically called enemy. So this is enemy type 1. You can see it over here on his stuff right here. It's basically when I call in, I'll loop through and just spawn in different enemies, and give them the whatever types they're supposed to have. Um, so all this is going to be on type 1 right now. Um, so we have a state for the entry to the map. Basically, it'll look up towards the sky and then pan down and then show, the battlefield, as it were. I don't know if I may have said it when I was muted. There are no random encounters in the game. You'll see the enemies, but it still will go to an instance battle arena. Mostly just so that it's more functional and clear to the players, what's really going on and stuff like that. Okay, so the first state, the enemy will have something that they're gonna do while the map, starts up and does animations and says here's an enemy, and then he'll have once it gets focused on the arena, the enemy will have a brief animation, like raw or whatever, just showing that it's there. And then we have the wait state. This is when they're idle, bouncing or standing there, breathing, whatever it is. And from there, once it's triggered, and right now I just have it on timers. It'll be more advanced in a few minutes. It'll choose where it's going to go next. So basically, here you could go to the physical tell. That's 3, which will, after a physical tell attack, then do a physical attack, or could go to the ranged tell. So he'll have prep a ranged attack and then do the ranged attack. So player has a chance to see stuff. Now from each individual attack, if you successfully parry it, then you can go to a failed physical attack. Yeah, that's the one for that. Or if they do hit you with ranged attack, there's a state that they go into. If you counter their ranged attack and send it back to them, I'm also going to give them the chance to possibly dodge it, so they'll also be able to do a dodge from that. And then also from their wait state, that was up here, there's a small chance it could also go to 10. That's a taunt, so we can do something, the equivalent of flicking you off in an E10 plus rated game. And then go to one of the tells after that, 50-50 chance. Okay, so right now I have it on just global timers, so we need to make that specific to the enemy. Let's see here. So I've got an instance variable for the enemy right here. That's going to be their timer. I should probably do family instance variables for these. Oh, they are. Ha! Okay, so good. I knew what I was doing the other night when I was not paying attention. Okay, so really when we get to these things, when they're supposed to wait, we need to change all of these over to just adding time to their timer. So get rid of the system call here. So enemies set value timer. So this one 3 seconds. 4 seconds. Is that what it was? That's supposed to be 5? Yes. Set this one to 2. I'm sure there's some fancy, better way to do this. But this totally works. Okay, now I need to, how it is right now, basically it waits and then it triggers the next state. We need that not to be the case. So if the state equals 0 and enemy, oh wait, their instance variable is timer is less than or equal to 0, then we do stuff. Okay, now it's important for the timer set here to happen before, in like the order of the events changes things drastically, because this would make it basically skip this state. So let's just add a few of these. Okay, this one's going to 2. I wish I could directly drag right here, but there's not a way to do it. I guess I could minimize this. Whatever, this will work. Hopefully I don't screw this up. So I'm not really reading these. The end is near. Oh, that was done. Oh, that one's done too. Cool. Okay, so now we also need the timer to go down. So we're just basically constantly set value timer to self dot timer minus dt, so minus delta time, so that it's based on the actual frame rate of the game and stuff like that. So it's frame rate independent. It's based on real time, more or less. Hey, Kayla's. Yeah, I get sidetracked. Mostly, I'm poor, so I have to work to have enough money to have enough time to do this. I'm using Open Broadcaster System, something like that. I don't know what it's called. It's this one. Open Broadcaster System is what I use. Works pretty well. Got different states and stuff I can go through, and I toggle them through with keyboard shortcuts so that I don't have to pull up that window you just saw. So eventually, I'll actually make enough money to have a second monitor. Put that over there, but I think y'all get the point. So, I want to make sure real quick that this works. So we have the state up here. Hey, the enemy is state 1. So we know the timer's going down. Hey, it's state 2. So I think from here was the wait. It could choose various ones. Yep, it chose to go to 5. That'd be the tell. 6 would be the ranged attack. And then went back to the waiting time. Cool. It works. You work night shift at Wally World? Yeah. Stuff happens. I know how that goes. I actually I took a job working door to door. So technically I get paid nothing. But also I get paid commission. So sometimes I get a whole ton of money all at once, and sometimes I get nothing. Yeah, second screen is totally worth it. I used to have 2 monitors until one died, and I just don't have the cash to get another one. Yeah, I never thought I could live with just one until I had to. Alright, so I've got the loop stuff working. Basically, the state machine works for the enemy. So now it needs to actually do something during the states. So I'll show you real quick what we're looking at. Doo-doo-doo. No, Spriter. Don't do strange things. Alright, let me kill this one. Alright, so the enemies are actually really high resolution so that, I can have a dynamic camera during stuff, where it'll zoom in and out and stuff like that. So I'll probably end up changing all these anyways. Just want to make sure stuff works. Whoa! By the way, my wife is better than any significant of yours because mine brought me a cup of Kool-Aid in a Lego Movie cup. She's over there. I promised I wouldn't put her on the stream. She's on the stream. Looks like he's looking at me. Anyways, where's play? What in the world? Oh, haha. So basically, basic idle, and then I'll add a state for while he's injured. Slow this down. So like prepping the physical attack, that animation, and then at the end of it, it'll go to the actual physical attack, which is a little stiff right now. I'll get there. Basically, he'll punch the ground. You'll see particles and stuff like that. So the states will cue these animations. So technically, I might actually get rid of these timers for some of these and have the actual animation cue the next event. But for now, the timer is what we're going to work off of so that I can change things later. Oh no, there is plenty of ways. There are plenty of ways to distract yourself with one monitor, I've found. So with two, yes, I would just look at the other one with whatever is more interesting on it. But with one, you just minimize whatever, or you try to do something like half and half, and you're like, oh, I want to, whatever is on that one, and you start stretching it, and then you minimize what you're really working on, and then you don't do anything. So no, same thing with one monitor, you still get distracted. So far, actually, I found that live streaming, even though I haven't done it in a while, is a great way to stay on task, other than when I'm rambling like now, not doing anything. Thank you, spouse of mine. All right, so we need a stand-in for a particle here. Now I'm doing this in a dummy project because I don't want to mess up the main game project. I'll just copy and paste all of this, into it. So I need to make a dummy layout. We're going to call this one dummy. All right. So we need a generic projectile. I'm guessing 64 by 64 will work fine. Doesn't matter, you'll never see it in the game. It'll be invisible and have fancy particles over it. But it needs to exist somewhere. Alright, let's make sure... Hey, that should be pretty good for collision. Alright. So, I don't think I need a family of these. I probably will, and then I'll screw up later. Alright, so these need a state machine as well. So just state. Pretty much have all these stupid names for things like number. That's a number. We're going to change that number with other numbers. Timer.
I are smart.
Basically. That's how it works. Like, have you seen the state array and all this other garbage or whatever? Like, you mean a bunch of numbers? Yeah, those numbers. Hey, Kayla says, hey, Megan.
Hi, Cal.
You can hear. Alright, so we need a state, we need a timer, and we also need a type, because I'm going to reuse this projectile for multiple types using instance IDs or unique IDs, whatever they call it in here. UIDs. Oh, that's everything I need. Now, let's do... What do I want to do? Alright, I'm not sure what kind of movement I want to do with it. I don't know if I want to do just basic bullet behavior or what. Yeah, we'll do bullet for now. I'll do it out custom later if I need to. So, bullet, default speed, not 400 because that's miserably slow. Bounce off of solids, no. Set angle, who cares? And monitor acceleration for no good reason. Alright, so if we get to ranged attack, so once this starts, create object, projectile at layer, I'll put on the gameplay layer at enemy, wait, dot x, y, and then I'm going to add in a second little group of things here for each. So for each projectile, if you don't know, that makes it so that it'll run this code for every instance individually. So basically, if I didn't put that and I said change the speed, it'll change all of them at the same time. Or if I tried to pick, it'll change one of them and ignore everything. So for each, will make it, run context sensitive on each individual projectile. So if you end up with multiple ones, they'll all work independently. See, maybe you'll stream your big project, but scared people won't like your event structure. Nah, don't worry about it. I've got plenty of people who put me to shame, and I've got plenty of people who basically worship everything that I've been able to make. It's just whatever you're able to do. Like one of these streams I'll show, like the full project and stuff like that. I've done it on some of my other streams. I mean, some of the organization is great, some of it's absolute garbage, but none of the players will ever see any of it. So if it works, and you're done. Now, if it's detrimental to your actual workflow, well, yeah, change it. Only because you're slowing yourself down, you're getting in your way. But as far as like trying to like impress and have like programmer ego and stuff like that, totally don't worry about it at all. There's no need to. Nobody cares what it looks like. And if they do, they can watch another stream. They can come watch my stream. I'll listen to them. All right, for each projectile, I don't really need a whole lot. We're going to say if it's off screen for now, destroy it. Eventually I'll do it off of specific values so it'll keep going or whatever. But, and I would like to stack the odds in my own favor. So I'm sure there's a great way to do probability. This may not be it, but this works. Basically, a 2 to 3 ratio, was 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. So it's a 2 to 3 ratio that it would do a physical attack versus a ranged attack. And then a 1 to 5 ratio, or 1 out of 6 chance that it'll go to a taunt. So if I just change all these to 5s, then no matter what, it'll go to the ranged tail. That's how I do probability. Alright, so we have the camera would pan down. I probably should change this to quicker, but I'll get a drink. It's waiting, so we should have the ranged tail, which is 5. Hey, 5 came up, and then 6. Pew! Hey! It worked. Cool. Alright, so I don't actually care about the speed of it or any of that stuff. That stuff's not going to change anything, though I want to go a little more. Okay, so we need to start adding in some better systems for this. Now, firstly, I'm probably going to change this so it lines up more with like the hands of the animations and stuff like that. But I want to add a second point here. Not like that. No, I can't undo it. Not garbage. Sure, it was there. It wasn't. Okay, I want to add a second point. Shoot from here. It's fantastic naming convention. Alright, so now it won't spawn at the enemy.x, its origin. Enemies.image point x of 1. And then y of 1. So spawn at that point instead. See you later, Quar. Yeah. So if I were completely lucky, I could just release this as 2 rectangles and call it Thomas Was Sort of Alone and make a buttload of money. Alright, so the waiting. Tell, and then it should shoot from a little bit higher. Hey, and it did it. Cool. So now the player needs to be able to counter that. So the player, see 0 up and down. So the player also needs a state machine or a number. State, global cooldown. Okay, so each of your, yeah, Thomas fights back. We'll do that. Actually, I saw somebody on Twitter suggest, why do we always have to play a first-person shooter? I want to play as the last-person shooter because they're the one that made it. But no, I also don't want to learn better math, so I don't work in 3D. Alright, so for the player, and I'll add a group for this so we can have some organization. Player stuff. Alright, so I don't really need it to say this, but I like to. So every tick, if player state is equal to 0, 1. Oh, my dog's whining in sleep. That's when you shoot him with a Nerf gun while they're sleeping. There's no gun in here. There's no dart in here. I didn't really do it. But he woke up. So I don't know if I'll actually need this many states or not, but then I don't have to add them later. Oh yeah, last person shooter would be Doom. Well, they said, well, what if it was something like Doom, but you've already killed all the demons. Everything's dead. Basically, you just have a gun super glued to your hand, and you have no way to interact with everything but with your gun, but you have nothing to shoot. What would that game be? Though I actually think you could do some really cool puzzle things with that. And technically, Portal got away with it. Portal's a last-person shooter. Huh. But you do some neat interactions with that. So state 0, I'm assuming I'm going to call this intro. I'm going to call this one intro. I'm going to call this one start. So start is when the camera pans down and starts things. Intro, maybe the player, I'll have like 3 or 4 different possible animations for them, do something, scratch their head or whatever. So idle. Okay, so state 3, if I do let you move, technically right now you can have you move, and works in sort of 3D, pseudo 3D space and stuff like that. We'll see. I might end up taking out movement altogether. Hey, he just shot me. Alright, moving. Alright, hurt. Yeah, I do need all these states. Alright, so blink is the first. Yeah, that would be how you would counter a physical attack. And then, what do I call it? Deflect. So I'm probably going to need substates for these. I'll get there. So deflect. And then I'll leave it there for now. Alright, so if you're I'm going to combine idle and moving, make this easier. So if you're in state 2, means you're not doing anything. Oh, state 3. Cooling down, or waiting. So if you're in state 2, and so on key pressed, I don't really know what control scheme I'm going to use for this. Space. Let's make this an OR block. And also do mouse on click. I'll do right click. So if either one of those, so it's easier for me to test it, happens, and projectile. No. Compared to values. Oh, here we go. Pick the nearest to player.x, player.y. So whatever is the closest. No, because I want you to go grab multiple ones. For each projectile, compare to values. If distance of player.x, player.y, projectile.x, y is less than, let's make it easy for now, 300 pixels, then we're going to do something. We're going to player set state to 6. So I think I also need a failed deflect. Failed deflect. Alright. Let's see, so it's coming if it's within range. Set state to 6. And I also need to do something for the projectiles. Set value its state to 1. I'll totally remember that. Alright, so when you're in actual deflect state, so there's a couple ways I'm thinking about doing this. So I don't know if I want the player to actually have to aim as I do this, or if I want the player to just do things like stat driven or whatever. So if they shoot at you and then you basically grab the projectile, the plan is for it to loop around the player and then send it back at the enemy. So I don't know if I want to make them have to aim at the enemy, which I guess you just kind of point left at all times, which I don't know if this is mirrored or whatever. I think you got it. I think that might have answered my question. Well, I guess you could aim at multiple enemies. Maybe I will do aiming, since you have to use... Thank you. Maybe I'll do aiming so that you have the option, like if I do like an elemental thing with different types of enemies, you could take opposite projectiles and send them back at the opposite one. Like they're ineffective against themselves, but they, are critical against their co-enemies. So I guess that answers that question a little bit. So basically, I'm talking to myself to you. That works. Okay, so you have to aim, and I guess if you don't, by default, it'll go back. No, I'll make you fail. Failure is always an option. Hashtag Mythbusters. So you have to aim. Of course, at the beginning it'll be easier. So I've considered like having the ability to like have it circle multiple times and then you release it when you're ready. That may end up getting too complex to explain to players for it to actually give any benefit. So probably just one loop and then shoot back at the enemy wherever you're aiming at the time. That makes sense to me. Cool. So we need an aiming indicator of some sort. So we're going to make a new sprite. Aiming. Now I've got one in the game already that I'll end up actually using, but this works for now. Got a really pretty one that you use for blinking. Arrow. And then I need. Alright, put that at 0. Oh, look how pretty that is. so on start of layout, create object, aiming on layer gameplay at player.x, player.y, and also aiming needs to always stick to the player. Okay, and then aiming, set angle toward position, mouse.x. And I'm putting in a layer there just in case I change things later. Okay, so that's the wrong layout. Yeah, let's see if... Cool, we have aiming. Huh, that looks significantly worse than I thought it would. Huh, so, apologize for that way R-rated moment. So, this needs... I don't know how to make it not look terrible.
Put it higher.
Just move it to underneath. Okay, that's...
Look any better. Sorry.
There, let's make it longer, see if that makes it make more sense. Yeah, I love you too, honey. Okay, there, change the opacity. I think that kind of does it. Does that meet your approval?
Huh?
Does that meet your approval?
That's fine. I don't care. It's not my game.
Thank you. Alright, so we'll set the state to 1, and then read projectile. If projectile variable, if the state is 1, that's when it's going to loop. So I'm going to have to look up some math. Oh good, I got an LOL out of a very questionable looking green block. No matter what I did. Okay, so state 1 is going to loop around. I'll probably actually just look up the math I did in the game for other rotation stuff and just copy and paste that. Because I'm not really that good at math, but it worked once using cosine and stuff like that. Alright, so basically it's going to be in state 1, and then spin around, and state 2 is going to be return trip. When it sends back. Okay. State 3 is impact, and then it'll get destroyed after that. And I do need a state 0 to exist, just for flying. Alright, so we'll set it over to deflect, and then Alright, so once it's there, triggered once while true. Oops. We're gonna wait. Just 1 second, I don't know what it's actually gonna do. And then it'll do for each projectile, if the projectile's compare instance variable state is 1, That's spinning around. Then we're going to set it to 2. And then we'll do something else after that for the player. So basically they'll send it, then the player will, I'll do like a half-second delay. And then the player is going to go to the cooling down state, which is 3. So basically, while they're idle, if you successfully do the deflect, they'll move to their deflect animation. That'll take 1 second or a second and a half or something like that. 1 second as it is now, and then it'll change the state of all the projectiles that are there to shoot back at the players. And then, so I need something to happen immediately at that point, like they're like, some cool animation thing or whatever. Wait half a second, and then set the state to 3, which is the cooldown. And then from cooldown, wait, just do 1 second for now. And then set you back to 2. So now we have a full loop of available options that you can do there, so that the game won't get trapped with you just standing there with an awesome pose. It's not that Final Fantasy. Alright, so if the projectiles are state 2, set angle of motion to, and we can actually cheat here and set it to the same angle as the aiming block, which is semi-transparent and totally not in a questionable place. When the animations are in, that'll be his feet. But for now, it looks horrible. So set it to that angle, and then still if it's off screen, it'll get destroyed. If it's, oh wait, I need that to happen once. Let's see. And projectile on collision with enemies. Set state, no, value, state to 3. So that should be the full life of the particle. For now, I'm going to set the speed to 0. And then I'm going to reset the speed to 900. And projectile acceleration also to 0, so it doesn't change. Alright, let's see if this does anything. So I have aiming, so I'm going to aim this way. So I shorten these things for my own testing. Second reminder. Take the tail, shoots, and nothing happened. Cool. Alright, oh, because I also didn't have any way for the player to get to the right state. Alright, so I also need to change my debug text here so I know what I'm doing. So I have it right now to show the enemy state. So new line and player dot state. Alright, we're going to call this enemy and player and, okay, does that work? Helps if you leave enough room for the text. Alright, I know that's going to work. Alright, so at the start here, this is cheating, but we're just going to set it to 2, and also I need to make this go way faster. Alright, so enemies at 0, 1, 2, 5, and they're gonna fire. Hey, I grabbed it. And it shot back! It worked! Magic. Alright, let's see if it works twice. Alright, I gotta watch the player state, make sure that actually happens. Shoots. Grab. Player cooldown. Player is able to do something again. Cool. Ooh, but the angle's not happening. Interesting. Let's check that, see if that's actually happening how I want it to. A new line and aiming dot angle. Oh yeah, and make that an integer so we have easy numbers. Alright, so at what point is it supposed to set projectile? It should happen. Alright, why doesn't it happen? Alright, let's get fancier here. By the way, if y'all know what I'm doing wrong, please feel free to tell me. Okay, projectile. Alright, let's grab one and then I'll pause it. I need to go faster than that. Pause. Projectile, what is happening right now? Angle of motion is 0.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. So my wife is expressing her frustrations about something behind me. Hopefully I didn't cause it.
No, you didn't.
Yay, I didn't cause it.
App's not working.
Huh. Step, 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 step. It's not setting the angle. Why? And technically it's going back, but that's not what I want to happen. Huh. Alright, so we're going to add the browser object, and when this happens, we're going to log state to playa word. Okay. So let's hop over to Chrome and I don't remember. Hey, there we go. Alright. See if it ever logs it. Okay. State 2 happens. Which one is this? This one. And aiming dot angle. Not there. Darn it. Alright, grab, send. Huh. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know why. I think it has to be moving before it can set the angle of motion. See if this fixes it. Because it'd be an angle of nothing if it did 0. Yes! Okay. We have aiming. Alright, now we need to do some math. Actually, I think there's a plugin to do circle motion. That's right. That's not actually that important right now. I'm not worried about the spinning. I'll get that. So next I need to put blinking back into this. So projectiles work for now. Actually, did it destroy? I don't remember if it actually got destroyed or not. Okay, check one more thing. Wait, shoot, grab. No, it doesn't. Oh, it does work. I just didn't tell it. Nope, not export. Beep. Hey, it works. Okay, so now projectiles work. All right, so we have the waiting state, the player. Oh no, we need the enemy to do more stuff first. Alright, so if it goes to the physical tell, it's here. Physical attack. Okay, that'll just play an animation, and that won't matter anyways. So for blink. Okay, we'll do the same timing. Actually gonna keep this all together. So basically it'll happen and then wait a second, go back to where it was. So alright. So we need an invulnerable state for the player. So once you blink, alright, let's set invulnerable to 1. Wait 1 second. And then I'm going to put it down here to set it back to 0. I know it'll work either way, but I want to kind of put things together over there. Let's see. So I'm deciding basically if I want the blink ability to be purely based on animation, or if I want to actually move the player box. Well, here, let's change this to in blink. So basically what I plan to happen here, good night, Kayla's.
Did you say good night?
Yes.
Are you typing?
I was for a second. Alright, so honestly I can't see how many people are watching right now from my phone. Who knows? There we go, 3 watching now. So, what I plan to happen is when you do your blink ability, you'll blink away and then blink immediately back to where you were, like a second later, something like that. So I still plan on you being able to get hit by a ranged attack elsewhere. So I don't think you should be able to dodge just everything that way. So like if they miss, but I'm not so sure if I want. I guess I can do a trigger with the animation because I want to have basically an animation play that starts the blink and you kind of vanish for a second. I guess I'll have the animation trigger it there, and then it'll move your position however many pixels, just the animation, to wherever you're aiming, and then after a second blink you back to where you were, so that you keep the flow going and stuff like that. I guess technically, yeah, I guess you could do that for just general dodging too. That would make sense. So like if an enemy up top does something that just attacks the whole top half or whatever, you'd be able to blink down to avoid that, timing based and stuff like that. And so the aiming would matter a certain amount. I guess now that I'm more curious if I should do the possibility of having you be able to blink, grab, and then send, like a combo type thing. Which I guess you probably could. I could just add a second cooldown state. Basically, I have to think of a way for somebody to break it and then fix that. I'm sure it's possible to break. So we're going to call this state 3.5 to keep things in order. So this one is going to be, oops, deflect, wait, cooldown, deflect. This is going to be cooldown, blink. So I guess I can make them separate. No, maybe I'll bypass that altogether. Okay. So scratch that. I guess I can use the in blink thing, since you wouldn't be able to re-trigger a blink again until you get back to the main thing. So yeah, I guess that'll work. We'll find out. I'm sure some will break it at some point and they'll have to bug fix it. Alright, so right here I will move player here. But I don't want to move the actual. No, maybe it. Okay, I'm arguing with myself, but I think I should move the player. Yes, for collision purposes. Okay. So we need to store your original starting point. Start X. Start Y. So on start of layout, Yoshi, stop. Set value start x to player dot x, and technically a lot of this stuff I could have it generate when the level starts, but whatever, this will work. Forgot about Grace. Where is she?
Outside.
Grace is a dog, by the way, not a child. Don't call DSS. Let's see. Okay. So for blinking, all right.
Grace, come here.
All right. So I need to. Oh,
This is Grace.
I don't know if you can see her. There's Grace. Look how much she likes standing there. I don't know if you can see her or not.
Stop it. You have no food in your bowl. Quit growling.
So I have one dog
Jerk.
who's super stupid and mean about his dog food bowl,
You know there's nothing in it.
but it's empty.
Oh, turd. There's an old man.
So I'm gonna have a third of a second animation set in blink to whatever. Let's see.
He hasn't had water this whole time, but now Grace comes in and he's drinking all the water.
I just want her to have it. That'd be terrible.
Sure.
Alright, we're going to move at angle, aiming dot angle. 300 pixels. I don't know how far I need to go back. And then once you return, going to set position to self dot start x and self dot start y, and see if this does anything. Oh wait, I have no way to tell you to blink. Alright, so we're going to do either left click or press shift. Set state to 5. And I'm going to have this go back immediately to 2. Move. Alright, so that works, but it's way too far. My wife is what the hecking.
What?
What?
My font just decided to
Blink.
be small.
Why is... Oh, haha. Need to move before. But 1 second, wait. That's why it didn't make sense. Oh, this also needs to be here. What? So, the dogs over here got the white one, that's Yoshi. He's a jerk. He's laying across the floor to block the brown one, Grace, from getting to the water.
Can they see the brown one?
Sort of through my shoulder. So she's too chicken to go past him, and he's too big of a gigantic butthole
Yes, we're talking
to let
about
her
you,
past.
Grace.
Also, Harambe represent.
Oh my gosh, really?
Harambe is my Patronus.
He's your Patronus.
Alright,
Don't try to be a Harry Potter nerd.
blink. Alright, so I don't like the delay there. So I need that the blink animation to be super, super short. I don't know if I want it to be completely instant, maybe. the psh would be sound effect. That totally needs to happen there. In that instance, you would have gotten hit. And let's shorten down the time to wait for you to re-blink. All right, half the delay. Oh, hi, Grace. Right. There we go. So now there can be, see, a fifth of a second, so super short time, little animation to start things as you blink away. And then you come back. So you can't completely spam it. That works. Alright, let's see if we can do this. Enemies taunting. Should have taken that out for now. Okay. So I also want, let's see. How do I want to do this? Alright, I could probably do this with functions later, but we'll do this. So if you're in the blink state, how do I do this? Okay. Player variable in blink equals 1. So if you're in the blink state and you're actually in the middle of the blink, then you should be able to also trigger the other thing. Oh. Didn't think about that. So you have to re-aim quickly. That's kind of cool. Cool, I'll probably miss the timings, but that works. So you can chain stuff together like that. And okay, and that distance is way too generous. Let's half that. There. Let's make it a variable. Grab distance. Initially it's going to be 150, so I can change this later. Player dot grab distance. Okay. Maybe that's a little too tough. A little tough. testing it, still need to remember to take the enemy taunt out. Okay. Take it out now because it did it twice. So from 4. Then it goes 2, 5, 6. Pew. Shoots back. Okay. Well, I feel like I'm probably going to need to make this a function at some point. Trying to make you not a sitting duck. That works. Cool. And while I'm thinking about it, we're going to change the range where the enemies can actually get hit. Cool, well that's working for one player, so you don't need to worry about that stuff. Alright, so I haven't set it for the player to fail yet, but we'll get there. Cool, there's still plenty more to add, but we have a working, at least bones for a state machine for this battle stuff. The core abilities are in. You can dodge and you can deflect attacks. I'm going to use some fancy math and make the deflections circle about and then go back out using cosine and stuff like that. Just going to copy and paste my code from somewhere else. Not that I really know what I'm doing. That should work. Cool. Well, I think I'm going to end the live stream now. It's been going on for quite a while. I'm going to work on some more animations, a little bit and stuff like that. I'll get that more wrapped up. So the next live stream, I think I'll be implementing animations and motion and stuff like that, and then add in a couple other multiple enemies simultaneously, eventually different enemy types. We'll get that working for everything. So right now we've got everything working with rectangles. So eventually we'll make this pretty and make it, more responsive and fun to play. So thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Of course, like and subscribe, and totally would never be opposed to you clicking the fan fund thing to support me and give me money. If you like tips, you can give me a tip, I'll take it. So definitely subscribe, check out some other stuff, follow me on Twitter. I'm going to post up my information up on the screen in just a second so you can see all that stuff. And thanks for watching.